Good evening, South Florida. I'm Jenny Jones, and welcome to this special edition of Keeping Up with the Joneses. Baseball Hall of Famer Andre Dawson, affectionately known as Awesome Dawson, now in retirement. Keeping Up with the Joneses sat down with the former outfielder for a Q&A, and we're calling it A Conversation with a Cub. Our goal here is we're just going to try to tell some of your story of your trial and triumph and just to celebrate your Black excellence. So what did you think that your experience was going to be like when you started your baseball journey?
Just wanted to be given the opportunity, first and foremost. And because I had a deep love for the game instilled in me by a few of my uncles, I took a special love toward the game itself. And it was the only thing I ever really wanted to do growing up. And I realized by being blessed, I just wanted to make the most of that opportunity. And I just set my sights in that direction.
I mean, was it better or worse or, than your expectations?
I just felt a huge relief. Wow, it finally happened because now it's a dream come true. As my grandmother used to always tell me, count your blessings, son. Count your blessings before you even receive them.
Okay, and speaking of dreams, knowing the history of the Negro Leagues and, all the greats that came before you, Hank Aaron, Jackie Robinson, Willie Mays, um, I'm guessing maybe you didn't find it hard to dream or, since it was something that you always wanted to do, or, sometimes were you a little doubtful in the back of your mind with knowing the history and different things? Was it hard to dream at all?
Not at all. They were, in a sense, my heroes because they were the individuals who were talked about in the household. And you kind of sort of followed them from a distance. You still at a very, very young an early age, but they were always in the media, and you just learned about the game itself from hearing the stories about them as players and how they got to be where they were.
Did you kind of have an opportunity to speak with any of your, well, not role models, but people that you admired in the game?
Yes, it was a phenomenal experience. First and foremost, to be in their presence, and then just to sit down and have brief conversations with them. I can recall meeting Hank Aaron, meeting Willie Mays. Um, Hank Aaron, by far one of the quietest and most humblest people that I've ever met, and an individual who achieved what he achieved during his lifetime, always looked at you and had this big smile on his face and welcomed you, made you feel at ease and very comfortable in his presence. And then, of course, Willie Mays, who was touted as perhaps one of the greatest players ever to play the game. As I mentioned, just first and foremost, to be in awe of being in their presence. And that's something, you don't envision, you don't dream. You can dream about being a big leaguer, but you don't dream about being in the presence of people that are astute.
Kind of sounds like you, doesn't it?
Well, I have to give all of that credit to my grandmother because she was in a sense my role model, and she humbled me from the very beginning. She said education is the key, is the stepping stone to where you're going to go in life, and baseball is only recreation. Be thankful, of where you are each and every day, and I knew where I came from. I knew my background, and I had a strong religious belief. So I wasn't one to be an attention seeker. I always, sat back, quiet, kind of on a quiet nature, and observed a lot, asked a lot of questions. And I can, honestly say that the game itself is humbling in its own way, but because of my background, my upbringing, it was an easy transition for me.
The blank contract, because it's nowadays, like especially in basketball, you see a lot of players um, commanding and demanding their own future. Like, I want to go play with this team, I want to go play with that, but you did it more of a roundabout back end type of way, but it sets you as an example of one of the first ones to really dictate where you want to go, or or at least get out and dictate where you want to go and play.
Yes, I felt as a free agency finally putting yourself in a position where you have leverage. I could command fair market value. And it was during the time of collusion when the owners were forcing free agents, per se, to re sign with their original ball clubs. And they thought that a cut and pay would be, they could substantiate that because they held all the cards. Well, I just felt that I had played out my 5 year extension, and now, okay, it's time to sit down and negotiate the proper contract. Well, the owner did make the funds available, but the general manager at the time said it wouldn't take that because I was at their mercy. And the one thing that, and I look back again at the scheme of things, the one thing that they didn't want to do was to really get under my skin when it came to, I feel like you're messing with me. I grew up that way. I grew up not initiating confrontation, but learning that you don't take anything from anyone. And even though it was business on their part, it was business on my part also. And I just felt that the offer they were making me was unsubstantiated. It called for a $200,000 cut and pay as a free agent. And the first thought for me was, if I'm going to take a cut and pay, it's going to be somewhere where I want to play. But I still had the off season to tinker with in the hopes of they may come around and give me the contract that was warranted. It didn't happen. And I sat down with my agent and I just said, we got to devise a plan to get to where I want to be. And that was still playing in the National League, hopefully in Chicago. And I had the understanding and the realization that I can't go to the Cubs and negotiate because collusion again is not going to allow me to negotiate. So we gotta be creative, and we weren't trying to pull a ploy or trick them in any way. But I just said the only way I'm going to get to Chicago, which is where I want to be, is if I just let them pay me what they think I'm worth, and that's by giving them a blank contract. So we set our sights out to Arizona. They went spring training. We forced an unannounced meeting with the general manager of the Cubs, and we presented the contract, the proposal to him. I said, here's a blank contract. Fill in what you think I'm worth, and we'll go forward from there. He didn't really know what to make of it. It had never been done before, and he said he needed his professional people to evaluate it, to look it over. It didn't make sense, and I said, well, fine. I'm going to leave it on the table. I'm going to West Palm Beach the following day to make the same proposal to the Atlanta Braves. And I got a call from him as I flew back home the following day. I got a call from him that morning just before I was scheduled to leave for West Palm Beach. And he said, Mr. Dawson, he said, the Expos at the time had offered $1 million. And he said, the best offer we can make is $500,000, which was another additional cut and pay. And I said, Mr. Green, Dallas Green was the GM at the time. I said, thank you very much. I said, I'll accept your proposal. And he got quiet. I didn't hear anything for about 15 seconds. I thought I lost the call. And he said, can I call you back in about an hour? And I knew what he had to do. He had to clear it with the commissioner of baseball because he really wasn't supposed to make me an offer. That offer was made for me to turn down.
I really enjoyed that. That was pretty cool. So let's get back to some of your awards in Major League Baseball. Is coming around on some things because they're integrating the Negro League stats in with everything, and they gave you the Andre Dawson Classic. How'd you wrangle that? Because Major League Baseball They don't seem to give up too much. I mean, we've got Jackie Robinson Day. Now we've got the HBCU Andre Dawson Classic. How did you manage to get that?
Well, I think in a sense because it was dominated by HBCU schools. And when I was first reached out to, I was like, wow, really? In a sense, because there are hundreds of people that you could choose from. It was a no-brainer. I was like, yes, most definite. I was under the understanding that most of the teams were from the SWIC conference, but still, it was HBCU schools. And as you mentioned, they don't give up a lot. Major League Baseball don't give up a lot, but I was very overjoyed by that accolade and for them taking the luxury of even considering me.
I was reading one of your books, the one in the game, and you said that baseball imparted many pieces of wisdom. Can you give me like a couple of examples of the wisdom that you say baseball imparted upon you in your life?
Over time, you develop the skills to become a leader. But it just made me the individual because of my background again, the individual that I am today, and I'm still that humble, quiet but not shy person that I was growing up, and I owe all of that to baseball.
Congratulations, you're going to the big leagues. What was it like
Wow,
when you got that call?
wow! Tell me you're telling the truth. You're kidding me, right? Actually, I was called into my AAA manager's office, and I kind of had an inkling because I had performed real well, and we just come off winning the American Association Championship. So I realized there was going to be a September call up, and I was just hoping that I would be one of them. And the fact that the team was on the verge of losing 100 games or headed that direction, why not? Why not give a kid a chance to come up and, if anything else, just experience what it is to be around big league ball players. But it haven't happened so quick. I'm talking about a year and a half out of college and 4 years out of high school. That's a wow moment. And I can't say that, well, I've arrived, but God is good. I One of my blessings was that particular
Tell
moment.
me about the Kurt Flood Award. Like, what does it mean, and what does it mean to you?
Oh, I'm deeply honored to be the first recipient of the award. And you know the story of Kurt, obviously, being the trailblazer that he is. He took a stance, and there was something that he believed in, and it just made all of the sense. Maybe to um, not some of the Caucasian counterparts, but a lot of even African Americans kind of feared, in a sense, to be a little more supportive of him because they really didn't know what would be the outcome. And Kurt just said, "Okay, I'm going to put it all on the table." And as the end result, it costed him his career. But he knew he was going to take a stance for something that he believed in, and that in itself led to what would become free agency for all the sports. The award for me, I was very humbled to be that first recipient again, and I was told, well, maybe you did some things that kind of mirrored what Kurt did and what he stood for.
Warren was telling me that you are currently have a front office role with the Cubs. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with them?
Yes, I'm one of their ambassadors. They have about 5, 6 Hall of Fame ambassadors that go out, and we engage in a lot of corporate community sponsored product. Sponsored events. That's where I always wanted to be. I had envisions of post career being back in a Cub profile, some sort of way or another. Even though I played for and finished my career as a Marlin, retired as a Marlin, and then was an employee of the Marlins for 15 years. But my heart was always in Chicago. I felt that I was a Cubby for life. Now I'm where I want to be, and how long I'm going to do that, I don't know. I just look at it like, hey, it's home. It's my second home, and I live in Florida. I live in Miami, but I know that I'm always welcome back to Chicago. And
Hey, let's talk about your foundation and your efforts with the high school students. I understand that you're making it rain at the high school, at the high schools.
well, I started a foundation, the Andre Dawson Foundation. My uncle actually is the one that got it up and running for me many years ago. And it started out having a scholarship foundation for special needs for minority students with aspirations to continue their education at the college level. It also catered to Alzheimer's disease, which is something that took the life of my grandmother, sickle cell anemia. But the scholarship program, in a sense, because I always enjoyed working with kids. Had I not been a baseball player and gone on to the next level, I probably would have been a coach in some regard. So I always enjoyed working with kids. And when I think about the teachings of my grandmother, education is important. I just carry, those remembrances with me that I got to give kids an opportunity if they're really serious about getting an education at the next level, and the foundation helps cater to that.
What what inspirational quote or words to live by that you would give for the next generation?
The inspirational quote, again, it goes back to my grandmother. She was my mentor in a sense. And she always said to me, son, she said, be thankful of your blessings. Be thankful of your blessings before you even receive them. And she always said, there are going to be challenges in life, but you got to learn at an early age how to not succumb to peer pressure, how to stand on your own 2 feet, and how to make educated decisions. That's the importance of the education, putting you in a position to make educated decisions. Look yourself in the mirror and know that each and every day you're giving it your best effort. And if you're giving it your best effort, you can't be disappointed with the outcome. God is always in control. So grow and learn to know that, you walk by your faith. And if you walk by your faith, you will never walk alone.
I think that's one of the staples of the Black community is that grandmothers, grandmothers and God. I think those are like the staples of our life and to guide our lives and our inspiration and our strength. I think those are staples. I was a grandmother's girl also, and like that grandmother's love.
I met President um, Obama a number of years ago, and I got the opportunity to escort him around the Hall of Fame and let him look at some of the different artifacts. And he's a White Sox fan, and I tried to convince him to put on a Cubs jersey. He didn't really want to have any parts of it, but a real experience for me, just the joy, the pleasure, the opportunity to go through the Hall of Fame with him. And that again, that's something I look at, and I got just kind of shake my head in awe. These are people who I look back and I respect, and he was who he is, phenomenal individual, president of the United States.
I thought it was important that he talked about how the Hall of Fame asked him to come up and help give President Obama the tour. And I know when Andre had that opportunity to do that, I remember he called me and said, how surreal that moment was to, walk the grounds of the Hall of Fame, with President Obama and share that experience. So I thought that was a great story for you guys to talk about.